The Wife Njangi. Part 1. Created by Deneen Priso. In the heart of the African village, a circle of friends met for the Njangi, an ancient pact of shared trust, where each hand that contributed could one day receive. But today, Kasim, whose coldness had shadowed his own wife's light, had failed to bring his due. Kasim's silence filled the room as he lowered his gaze. For years, his arrogance shielded him, but tonight he could not hide his shame. And then, from across the circle, the voice of Sefu rang out, "If you can't pay, then let me keep Lela for a month. Perhaps she's worth more than the coins you owe." Lela's heart pounded as she stood, her gaze finally breaking free of Kasim's grip. For years, her beauty had been dimmed under his neglect. Now, a new light, a chance for freedom, if only for a month, stood before her. And with a trembling hand, she accepted. Sefu's word was one of color, of laughter, of life that Kasim's shadow had never allowed her to see. He gave her silks to wear, gold to adorn herself, and laughter that wrapped around her like music. For the first time, Lela felt like a woman reborn. Each day, Lela's spirit grew, her beauty glowing with a warmth no gold could match. Sefu watched, captivated, as she found her own strength, her own voice, her own light. And slowly, the spark between them grew, igniting a fire they could not deny. That night, under the warm glow of candlelight, their hands touched, lingered, and each felt the depth of what had grown between them. "You have awakened in me what I thought was lost," she whispered. And in that moment, they both knew there was no going back. Kasim stormed to Sefu's door, ready to reclaim what he had lost. But the woman who stood before him was not the Lela he had known. She was radiant, unbroken. And by her side stood Sefu, a man unafraid to stand by her, even against a storm. Kasim reached for her, but Lela stepped back. "I am no one's property," she declared, her voice as steady as the beat of a drum. The months of suppression melted away, replaced by a woman of strength. Beside her, Sefu stood ready, a man who saw her light. Kasim returned to an empty home, his heart heavy with the weight of his own mistakes. He saw now the beauty he had ignored, the love he had pushed away. Alone, he held the charm Lela had left behind, feeling the hollowness of his choices. Now, Lela walked with Sefu, her heart full and free. She had found her own light, her own strength. And as they walked together, whispers followed them, for the village knew that Lela had chosen a path of her own making, one of love, of freedom, and of light. Like, follow, and share for part 2.